You're listening to the MedSpa Marketing Podcast by Scale 77, your go-to show for med spa owners, medical aesthetics, and elective wellness entrepreneurs. Each week, we dive into powerful marketing strategies, proven growth tactics, and the secrets to attracting more clients, all while keeping you ahead of the latest industry trends. Join us as we uncover insights from top industry leaders to help you boost revenue, enhance patient experience, and master the art of marketing your med spa. Hosted by Jonathon Parker. With years of experience helping med spas grow, Jonathon has supported countless clinics and providers, working with respected brands and elite industry thought leaders. If you're ready to scale your business and stand out in the aesthetics industry, this is your podcast. Here's your host, Jonathon Parker.
Welcome back to the Med Spa Growth Blueprint. My name is Jonathon Parker. I'm the co-founder of Scale 77. What we are is a growth agency that works exclusively with med spas and aesthetic clinics. And if this is your first time listening, make sure you head back over to episode 1 and start there. This is a 6-part series. Every episode stacks on top of each other, and it's meant to be listened to in order. But if you've made it this far, first off, congratulations. You should have now learned how to create irresistible offers for your clinic, figured out how to follow up quickly and efficiently to fill your calendar with all these new customers you're bringing in. Should have found out how to build trust online and how to turn these clients into loyal customers who are going to keep coming back over and over again and start building your business for you. But now we're really entering the final stage. This is where you go from growing to actually scaling. Because if you're like most med spa owners who start seeing some success, there's a point where things get pretty overwhelming. Your ads are working, your phone's ringing, your team's booked out, but you have a new set of problems. You suddenly realize that your business only works if you never stop working. And you should be proud of what you created, but you're exhausted. And that's the stage where a lot of these med spa owners get stuck. So in this final episode, we're going to fix all that. This is what I call our systems that scale. It's how to really grow your med spa without burning out or losing control or having to just depend on luck. Because the goal here isn't just to run a busy med spa. The goal here is to build a business that runs smoothly and can run without you. So part 1 of this is the reality of growth. And we start with the truth. Success really creates new problems. Nothing's linear. So in the beginning, you just have different problems. You're chasing clients. Now you're trying to chase your time. You have so many clients. You're managing leads. You're checking your messages all day. You're fixing scheduling issues. You're trying to review reports. You still have to train your front desk, all while you still need to treat your patients. So while that might feel normal to you, it's really not sustainable over the long term. And imagine if you wanted to open up other offices. How would you even be able to do that right now? So if your business only works when you're there, you don't really have a business. You have your own job with a lot of overhead. And I wouldn't really call that freedom. But the good news is it's fixable. So the key here is really just learning how to build these systems and put them in place in your spa that can scale your results for you. So let's start at the most important part. And this is what really separates businesses that can grow on their own versus the others. That's automation. There are dozens of small things that you do every single day that don't need your hands on them. And we have to automate those first. This could be from confirming appointments or sending reminders or following up with new leads or old leads or just checking your reports weekly for your ads and your marketing or sending out the birthday messages or just reminding clients about their upcoming consultations. All of that needs to be automated ASAP because the automation doesn't replace you. It gives you more time to focus on what's more important. It's like putting the repetitive parts of your business on autopilot so your brain can focus on leadership and growth, creativity, the things that really matter and move the needle. So here's what I would recommend you do as soon as you can. First, just automate your reminders. You can probably use your CRM. Make sure your appointment confirmations are going out right after booking. You get your 24-hour, 2-hour reminders and right before the appointment. And also you can automate your rescheduling links. So when someone cancels your reschedules, they can just book themselves in. This alone can boost your show rates and save hours of front desk time. Next, you can automate your follow-ups. Every new lead should instantly get a text, something like, "Hey, this is your spa. Thanks for reaching out. We just saw your request to come through. When's a good time for your consultation?" Then have a system in place to send a polite reminder 24 hours later if they don't respond. And keep these leads warm. The faster response, the higher the booking rate, and the automation never gets tired, which is the plus. So most spa owners don't really check their numbers because it's too overwhelming. So what you have to do is make it easy. You can set up automated weekly reports that go straight to your inbox. You can have your leads, your bookings, your revenue, show rate, ad spend, everything. And then you just check it that one day. The rest of the week, you don't worry about it. That way, you can just track your performance one day a week instead of every day of the week having to worry about it. Next, make sure that you have these scheduled texts or emails for birthdays, anniversaries, or milestones all automated. You have the happy 1-year anniversary text, the birthday ones, give them some free credit, and just improve your top line revenue without you ever even knowing what's going on. Small touches like that build retention and loyalty automatically. So automation is really like a silent team member that costs you nothing except a little bit of upfront time. Works 24/7, never gets sick, and it also doesn't drink all your coffee. But what's the best part? It's that when you automate these tasks that drain your time, you're creating new mental space. And then that's where your strategic thinking really begins to happen when you're scaling. And now we can get into something that not a lot of people are a fan of. This is after automation, can't quite be automated, but it is even more important. And that's your standard operating procedures. These are the playbooks for how your business runs. You got to think of them as your recipes for success. If every treatment in your spa has a step-by-step process to ensure consistent results, why shouldn't your business have the same thing? Because here's what happens when you don't have SOPs. Everyone does things their own way. You spend half your time re-explaining how to do these simple tasks around your spa, and you end up being the only person who really knows how things work. And that's not scalable. When you have your SOPs, your team has clarity. There's no guesswork. They don't need to ask for your approval every 5 minutes for anything that they're doing. And they can just execute things on their own. And if they're confused, they can just refer back to your cookbook. So here's where you can start with the SOPs. Document new lead handling. So what exactly happens when a lead comes in? Who responds? What exactly do you say? And what's the next step if they don't answer? And make sure on these SOPs, you really dig deep into the details so no one will ever have to come ask you how to do these things. And then you can make SOPs for your consultations. Write down a checklist, your scripts or your key talking points, how to track follow-ups, and just make sure that they hit every part they need to. And then you can also do the post-treatment follow-up. So when do you reach out? What do you say? Who sends it? Just make sure there's no questions about this. Another one we like to see is the team handoff process systemized out. So if one team member is off, how do tasks get reassigned? Having this documented really avoids confusion and keeps things moving even when someone's out sick or on vacation. Just helps people to expect the unexpected. And don't overthink it. Really just start with simple Google Docs or Notion pages or even a binder in your spa. The goal isn't perfection here. It's just to make sure everyone's clear and on the same page. And you have to remember a good rule of thumb, if it's not written down, it pretty much just doesn't exist. And next, we like to get into your marketing calendar. This really helps clear up your mental space and save time. Because one of the biggest sources of stress for these spa owners that I speak to is last minute marketing. You've probably done this yourself. It's the end of the month and someone says, hey, what are we doing next week for our promo? How are we getting people in the door? And then everyone scrambles to come up with an idea, get the graphics together and post something. And it's just not going to be as good as it could be. It's not marketing. It's more of a panic. So here's what I suggest you do instead. You can create a simple, just quarterly marketing calendar. You don't need fancy software. You can just do a Google Sheet. And here's how you can map it out. Choose 3 core campaigns per quarter. So examples. January, you could do New Year Glow. February, Love Your Look. March, Spring Refresh. And you could always do this around other holidays too that are fun and will catch people's attention. And step 2 is to really plan your support content for each campaign. So you could do just a few social posts, your promotional emails to go out, record some videos that you can put around the place. And you can also do some even like extra referral promos or gift card pushes in these times. And step 3 is to really make sure that it aligns with your business, your ads, and your CRM. So update the ad copy, your lead forms, and make sure that your email follow-up matches the theme. Keep everything congruent. Like if you remember in our earlier episode, we were talking about how people recognize these things, make them more familiar with your spa. So now once you have all these parts together, you're not guessing, you're just executing. And when you plan like this, your marketing feels super cohesive. Your team knows what's coming, and your clients can see a clear, really professional rhythm going on. Just predictable marketing equals predictable revenue for you. So once you have all this in place, you're really going from your busy operator to your scalable owner phase. We can talk about the biggest transformation, and that's your role. At the start of this, when you started, you wear every hat to get this business off the ground. You're the marketer, you're the salesperson, you're the closer, you're the injector, you're the bookkeeper, you're the janitor, customer service rep, do everything. And then it gets hard to let go of that as you grow. But if you want to scale, you have to evolve. You have to go from operator to owner. That means focusing less on those lower ROI tasks and doing more directing for your team. Here's a good way you can start that transition. You can delegate these repetitive tasks. So anything that happens daily that can't be automated should eventually be owned by some of your employees. The calls, appointment confirmations, check-ins, just train them on it once, document it into your SOP, and then let it go. You should never have to look at it again. And then next thing you do is empower your team as a whole. Don't just assign them tasks. Just give them ownership of these things that they're doing. Instead of just saying, here, do this, tell them this is your responsibility. You're in charge of this, and make sure it gets done. It creates accountability and pride for your employees. And then next, you have to make sure, just like with anything else we spoke about, the whole constant theme through this is tracking. You have to track the right data. Owners track data. Here are the only metrics that you're really going to need to look at weekly. You have your leads generated, you have the bookings made, your show rate, your revenue, your upsells, your retention. And there's a few other ones that might be important to your SPAL, but this is really a good base to start. And I made a pretty in-depth YouTube video on how to find all of these numbers. If you're having trouble there, you can check that out over at youtube.com/scale77. So when you focus on these numbers, you'll always know if your business is healthy and moving in the right direction, no matter how big it gets. And then that also leads me into just letting go with your leadership. Letting go is hard, especially when you've built everything here from scratch. This is your baby. But growth requires trust. It requires trust in your team and in the systems that you've made. And here's what great leadership really looks like at this point. There's clarity. Everyone knows the goal. Everyone can see the data. And you delegate these outcomes. It just gives a good sense of the clarity, visibility, and trust. As a leader, your new job is to guide, not to grind in the trenches anymore. And you become the person that's setting the direction, not doing it. And then that's really when you unlock the true scalability. So I'll share a story that sums this up perfectly. We worked with the spa owner, and they had built a 6-figure business on their own with a few employees, but they were just so exhausted. She told me, if I stop for one day, everything's going to fall apart. And she was doing everything. She was answering all the DMs, managing the bookings, approving the ads, handling payroll, and she was just spread thin. So we built several automations for her on the texting reminders. We helped her document SOPs for her staff to follow. And then we built out a 90-day marketing calendar for her. And 3 months later, she was able to take a week off, go on vacation after everything had settled and fallen right into place. Her team handled everything. They had the leads, the follow-up, the promotions. When she came back, her spa had grown. She never thought she'd see the day. She said that vacation actually changed everything. She finally felt like she owned the business for the first time in her life. And that's really just the power of these good systems. So let's make this practical. If you really are serious about scaling your spa, these are 7 systems that you could implement over the next 90 days to completely change everything. First, the lead response system. Just automation on the follow-up text, and then your SOPs for following up with the phone calls. And then there's the client experience system, which is just consistent onboarding. You want it to be as similar as possible every single time with the reminders and aftercare. And then your retention system, which is your loyalty programs, deposits, and rebooking flow. And then your marketing system. And this is your predictable monthly and quarterly campaign calendar to make sure you know what's coming up and you're never surprised again. And then your sales system. This is your consult scripts, the deposit offers, and the tracking on your close rates. And then you have the systems for your team. Make sure everyone's roles are defined clearly. You have scorecards to track performance. You have training plans for new employees. And then finally, the reporting system. Just weekly dashboards with all your key metrics so you make sure everything's moving in the direction it's supposed to. And if there's any issues, you know exactly where you should look. Once these are built, your spa really runs like a machine. It's predictable and it's scalable. So let's zoom out for a minute. Here's the big picture of what scaling really looks like. First, you start your spa, you're in survival mode. You're doing everything yourself. You're wearing all the hats and you're hustling every day just to pay off these machines and make rent. And then things start to make sense. You're in your success era. You've got clients, you're making money, but it's pretty crazy and you are busier than ever. And then we move to stage 3, which is scaling. This is when you have systems, you have a team, you have predictable growth. You can finally step back And maybe if you're ambitious, start your second or third spa. And that gap between stage 2 and 3, it's no man's land. That is where a lot of people get stuck and where you never want to find yourself. So when you add this structure, all the chaos just disappears. So once you have these systems, you can finally enjoy all the success you've built. I'll close this off with just a simple formula you can follow. It's one that I talk to every owner I work with about, which is just automation plus standard operating procedures plus a team equals freedom for you. The automation just handles repetition. Standard operating procedures create consistency. And then your team, they bring the execution and they fill in the gaps. You put all that together and your business runs with or without you. So that's the dream, right? Be able to take a vacation and your business didn't just survive, it grew. That's really what the Systems that Scale is all about. So now, kind of recap everything that we've gone over in this whole entire series. Episode 1, you learned why most marketing fails and how you can fix it if you have any of those issues. Episode 2, you built offers that turned attention into booked appointments. Episode 3, you mastered follow-up and you learned how to implement these deposits into your system and make sure your show rates double or triple. Episode 4, you built your authority and your trust online. You figured out how you can be the number one spa in your area. In episode 5, you learned how to retain clients and increase lifetime value, keep them coming back time and time again. Just increase your top line without having to spend extra money on advertising. And now episode 6, you've built all of this out into systems and procedures that make all of it scalable. Because growth without structure just leads to burnout and failure. But the structure leads to freedom. And that's just what we've been building towards since the very beginning. A business that gives you time, profit, and peace of mind. So I just want to thank you again all for listening and hanging out with me through this whole entire series. And if all of this is something that you're interested in implementing in your business, but maybe you don't have the time or you just need some more clarity, feel free to book a call on our website. It's no pressure. We can just hop in and see how it would look to put this inside of your business over at scale77.com. And thank you for being a part of the MedSpa Growth Blueprint. And be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to this. We're going to keep making episodes weekly, going over all the problems that our 6- and 7-figure clinic partners run into. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out and talk to us. So just remember to keep going, keep growing, and remember, these systems don't just make you money. They give you your life back.